Hello, my name's Mike Ward. I'm the head of content at Informa Pharma Intelligence, and we're here in Vienna at the BioEurope Spring Meeting, where pharmaceutical companies, biotechs, and investors get together to discuss some of the important trends that are affecting the industry, looking at opportunities for both partnering and investment. Some of the hot areas at the moment are in the oncology space, but actually increasingly also in infectious diseases. I'm joined by Erich Tauber, who's the CEO of the company Themis, and you're actually in both infectious diseases and oncology. You've developed a viral vector platform. What's sort of special about the approach that you've taken that differs from those that we've seen elsewhere?
We're using a viral vector, which is stemming from the Measles virus vaccine, which is built on 50 years of manufacturing experience and safety record. And we have further developed this to transport transgenes, to reprogram the immune system towards a response against infectious diseases or to help the body to treat cancer. Right. And we found a way to improve the manufacturability of this. We can produce at extremely attractive cost of goods, but we are also able to create T-cell responses, antibody responses, and immune modulation to help cancer. So
are they all sort of functions of the fact that this is based on the measles virus?
It's functions of the immune system which are modulated by the vector. So what we use is the vector is the carrier system to bring RNA into the immune system.
Okay, I was wondering, why is it therefore just the fact there is 50 years of experience with this particular vector that
yes, one of the advantages is that we have a very good safety record. Many of the other viral vectors have never been in humans, so having a very safe vector is extremely important for vaccines, but of course makes also sense in the cancer field.
Right. So it's nine years old. Your most developed program is in sort of phase 3 testing. Which particular indication is that for?
We start a phase 3 study for a tropical infectious disease called chikungunya. We call it Chik for obvious reasons. And this is a tropical infectious disease which causes joint pain and has long-lasting disabilities. What's quite important is that in the last big outbreak in the Caribbean a few years ago, more than 2 million people were affected. Half of them have long-lasting disabilities. So the aim is to start this phase 3 study very soon and be on the market in the next few years.
Okay, so although it's a sort of a tropical disease, actually it is quite prevalent. I mean, if it's affected
quite prevalent also for Western world travelers, right. But it's also, of course, needed for the endemic population of people living in Africa and Asia or in Latin America.
Right, and sort of the validation you've had, so far. I mean, getting into phase 3, there must have been some milestones that you've already achieved.
Yes, so what's quite important for biologics development is characterization, validation of manufacturing processes for regulatory pathways. We have a true plug-and-play manufacturing system, which means we can use the same manufacturing system for our cancer project or for other infectious disease projects, which we have validated already in the Chik project. Right. And so we have entertained many years of discussions and agreements with regulatory agencies like the FDA and the European agencies, and are very advanced with the validation of the process.
Okay, so before we talk about the oncology program, on this Chik program, so phase 3. Do you have any sort of sense of the timeline of when you might be filing for approval for such a project?
We want to file for approval in the year 2020.
Right. Okay. So next year, and then you have an oncology program. So you sort of mentioned that there is a platform. Are there sort of elements of the sort of this measles vaccine vector that lends itself also to being an oncology?
Yes, what's quite interesting about the measles virus is that it has a strong affinity to go into cancer cells.
Right.
There are specific reasons for that. Most of the cancer cells use an entry port which is overexpressed in cancer. At the same time, some of the natural defense mechanisms are lost in cancer. So those cancer cells are destroyed by measles virus, but we still build in additional tumor-killing transgenes, like certain immune modulators. And we will test them in the second half of this year in clinical setting.
Okay. And at this point in time, have you actually identified the particular cancers that you're going to go for?
The indication will be GI tumors.
Okay. And so that's going to be the end of this year, and I guess phase 1, it's just to ensure that it's safe.
We want to see some early proof of concept. We want to see proof of concept in terms of how good is the virus replicating, what does it do in the tissues, what happens to the T cells. There's lots of learnings we want to have in addition to safety.
Okay, and I mean, the company's been around for a number of years now, and you've raised, how much money have you raised over that time?
We've raised 25 million from venture capital investors and roughly 50 million non-dilutive fundings, including grants, but also contracts from organizations like CP.
Right. So that 25 million, that was over what, 3 rounds?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have enough finance to be able to achieve your goals, or are you looking for additional money to support both the completion of the phase 3 and bring forward the other?
So we're in a very good position from the current investors, but also from non-dilutive funding. There are good opportunities for non-dilutive fundings now in infectious disease areas, but we are now seeking for an additional private financing round of 30 million euros to further expedite the developments and broaden especially the immuno-oncology franchise.
Okay. I mean, do you have a sort of sense of, how much money you'll be looking for?
We're looking for 30 million.
So 30 million, and that would mostly be put to work on the oncology?
No, most of this would be put on work on the phase 3 because this is much more costly than the phase 1 studies.
And that would get you all the way through registration?
This would get us through registration and through phase 1 data in at least 2 oncology indications.
Okay. And in terms of actually sort of commercializing these programs, there aren't that many vaccine companies that are small. It's dominated by big players. So, what is the business model you're thinking about?
There are a number of possibilities here. We want to be flexible with our decisions. We have the possibility, for instance, to raise more money in an IPO later to enable us to distribute and to commercialize the product ourselves. It's also not unlikely that this would be commercialized in a partnership with one of the big vaccine players.
Right, and the oncology programs, I mean, you say you've already picked that you're going to look at the GI space. Are there any sort of restrictions to the kinds of...
The measles virus vaccine vector works in all cancer types. We have selected one where we feel we have a very nice access and a smart study design. It can work for everything, and we will also intensify our partnering activities in this field soon.
Great. Okay, well, Erich, thanks very much for coming around. Thanks.